Welcome back to Let the Quran Speak. Now we answer questions we've received from you. If you have a question yourself, visit our website, QuranSpeaks.com. All right, Dr. Shabir, we're going to try to answer these questions quickly. The first question, is it possible for a non-Muslim to study Islamic law in an Islamic school and become a mufti if he makes a fatwa based on Islamic sources and not on his opinions, or if other Islamic scholars agreed with his fatwa, then could that fatwa be wrong just because he's not a Muslim?
No, the fatwa wouldn't be wrong just because he's not a Muslim, but usually when a Muslim consults a scholar of the faith, they're consulting somebody whom they trust to give the right ruling, and that right ruling comes not only from a theoretical knowledge of the faith, but also what we would describe as a deep awareness of and connection with and commitment to God, and a commitment to be to follow this faith himself. So we take his ruling as coming from a deep sense of fear and awe and reverence for the religion and for God's teachings. In the case of a non-Muslim having only the theoretical knowledge but not this other spiritual component, we might be skeptical about taking his verdict. But nonetheless, if his verdict is agreed upon by other Muslim scholars, we may as well think of the verdict as coming from the other Muslim scholars, even if it was first pronounced by a non-Muslim. In that case, the verdict itself would be right, and we would follow it because it has the assent of Muslim scholars on whom we can depend.
Just curious, can you think of anyone like that?
Well, no, I take the question as a theoretical one.
I'm just curious. So the next question, why do Muslims celebrate the birthday of the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, whereas he never celebrated his birthday, nor did the early Muslims?
The fact that he and the early Muslims did not celebrate his birthday or their own birthdays led me at one time to give against anyone who would celebrate the birthday of the Prophet, peace be upon him. But later on, I came to realize that some of our classical scholars who were very careful about following the Prophet, peace be upon him, precisely, gave some allowance for the celebration of the birthday of the Prophet, peace be upon him, especially in the case of those Muslims who live in societies in which they feel that they needed something to hold their position in that society when other people are celebrating other things, and it looks like the Muslims are looking dry at this whole situation and thinking, okay, what about us? Well, what are we going to celebrate? And they naturally pick the birthday of the Prophet, peace be upon him, to celebrate so that they can have some face in that situation where other people are having other celebrations. So I believe we can make that sort of allowance, especially for Muslims who live in the North American situation where we are a minority and our children are looking at all other celebrations. It's good for us to have celebrations of our own. We do have the 2 Eid celebrations, but there's no harm in the case of people who feel attracted to celebrating the birthday of the Prophet, peace be upon him, if they should do so. That's just the way that I've come to see it now, and Allah knows best.
Okay. Last question, is playing a musical instrument haram?
I don't see that it is haram. There are some Muslims who have said that it is haram, and they would cite some hadiths to support that negative view of music. But on the other hand, there are hadiths which show that music is positive and it can be used especially on the day of Eid, especially the musical instrument known as the daf. And if all instruments were to be banned, as one hadith seems to indicate, then the daf could not be excluded because that is also a musical instrument. And it would seem that some mistake occurred in the way in which people narrated the narrative, saying that the Prophet, peace be upon him, indirectly condemned all musical instruments. So in the end, I do not see that using a musical instrument is haram. Now, of course, we should think about doing things in moderation, in the right context, and so on. And we should see what kind of music we're talking about. There are some types of music which may be calculated to leading people astray, to exciting negative desires, and so on. So we need to be circumspect and discriminating between good and bad types.
So do you think the type of music is more important than the instrument itself then?
I think so. Some music have been used by spiritual practitioners within the religion, and they think that that enhances their spiritual awareness and their connection with God. I would not argue with that tradition.
Okay, this last question, is the word kalima mentioned in the Holy Quran? If not, why? Because some people think that the kalima is wrong and not authentic.
Okay. The Arabic word kalima, which simply means word, actually is mentioned in the Quran, but not in the context of the question. The question is asking the declaration of faith in Islam, what we call the kalima, there is no God but God, and Muhammad is the prophet of God. Is this mentioned in the Quran? Well, there are two parts to this, and both parts are actually mentioned in the Quran. Several passages of the Quran say that there is no God but God, and two passages say that Muhammad is the messenger of God. So both parts of the kalima is there, but they're not joined together in the way that we do join it now. But that does not mean that it is wrong, because these are two elements that are so stressed in the Quran that it is hard to see how a Muslim would be a Muslim without adhering to these two declarations of the Muslim faith, what we call the kalima.
Thank you for your time and for answering these questions, Dr. Shabir.
You're welcome.
Hey YouTube, we hope you benefited from this video. If you liked it, or if you didn't, let us know in the comments below. And if you're interested in learning more, check out some of our other videos. And don't forget to subscribe so you can get new videos every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday.